I think we are in a golden age of documentary making, and there are a lot of committed people that are spending long periods of time on subject matter, and I think it's an exciting time for that. I think the aesthetic, the visual aesthetic, is returning to it as well, and people are referring back to older documentary styles and art in general, photography and movies. Well, I love that Camerimage because it's a place where I get to meet other cameramen. I get to talk and meet with people whose work you admire, and you don't get to meet them very often because there's only usually one of us on a project. And so it's a great opportunity there. It's also just a great vibe here in Poland. Just to be able to relax, and the whole atmosphere is very conducive to having relaxed conversation and learning a lot from peers. Yeah. Well, I've been a fan of documentary my whole career, and I've shot a number of, throughout my career as well. And so I guess I have a certain aesthetic that comes from kind of a love of a kind of a verite style of cinema and documentary making. I know that documentaries have changed and evolved in many ways, and so I guess what I look for is an authenticity, or kind of a sense of that you're documenting rather than manufacturing a story around the people. Yeah, there's that in your face style of documentary that came from people with agendas, quite often political kind of documentaries with strong points that they urgently want to get across, and if they can be done very entertainingly, like with Michael Moore, and have a very profound effect and be very thought provoking. So they totally have a strong place in the tradition. There's ones like Thin Blue Line and things like that, where they take an event and build a narrative and dramatize. That's another style. And I'm not sure what we're going to see. We're just day one here, so I'm not sure what we're going to see this time. I'm moved more by ones that are kind of more observational. That's my own personal kind of place that I come from. I get kind of emotionally involved when it's a more observational kind of experience. But all of them have a place in the tradition. Yes, we've done a couple of films together, and I mean, Jim, in a funny way, tries to make it feel like a documentary on his film sets. He likes to generate a certain amount of uncertainty in what might happen in front of the lens, a kind of a surprise, an element of surprise, and certainly on the film in America that we did, we had two children in it that were sisters, and they had already a chemistry, and the adult actors, fit into that chemistry beautifully. And so there was a kind of an unfolding in front of the lens that you weren't sure what to expect and what was going to happen. So he's very good at generating that kind of vibe on set, and kind of generating a certain kind of uncertainty of what's going to happen. And so everybody's a little bit on their toes, ready to capture something, because it might not happen again. It might only happen once, especially with children and stuff like that. So he definitely embodies that kind of spirit of keeping it real, in front of the camera. That's the theme of the film, in a way, is believing in magic, or believing in human spirit, if you like, and we talked about that in pre-production, and we talked about that as a look, that we didn't want it to be just a bright looking film, but for it to have a glow to it, so the idea was to kind of keep it dark and moody, but at the same time have a color and a kind of glow in the eyes, always see people's eyes, and so that was how I kind of approached it, in the lighting design with the gaffer and everybody, to try and use a color palette that had a kind of an uplifting quality to it, and to always have, even if it was a dark room or dark apartment, that somewhere way back behind camera there was a light glowing in people's eyes, you know, so that it didn't feel hopeless, you know. I guess that would be the way to approach it, you know.